In 1990, the bustling streets of Tokyo hum with a frenetic energy, skyscrapers casting long shadows over a nation on the brink. Inside the Bank of Japan, a tense silence hangs as officials gather around a table, the air thick with anticipation. Decisions made here will ripple through the economy as the asset price bubble looms ominously overhead, ready to burst. Everything Japan has built teeters on the edge of collapse. What forces will drive Japan into its lost decades? Tokyo's skyline glitters with promise, and the nation rides high on a wave of prosperity. Ordinary citizens benefit from this boom, their savings accounts swelling as they invest in the ever-rising stock and land markets. The streets are alive with ambition, and a sense of invincibility permeates the air. Yet beneath this veneer of success, the seeds of disaster are quietly sown. The Bank of Japan, in pursuit of relentless growth, sets loan growth quotas that fuel an unsustainable asset price bubble. By 1990, Japan ranks sixth among G7 nations in labor productivity, proof of its economic prowess. But the bubble's inflation is not without consequence. The Bank of Japan, wary of the looming threat, begins to increase interest rates. It's a move that signals the beginning of a seismic shift. As the financial landscape shifts, the country teeters on the brink of a new era. The first crack appears, hinting at a future where prosperity is no longer assured. In the early 1990s, the air in Japan is still thick with the optimism of the previous decade. The nation, once a beacon of rapid economic expansion, now stands at a crossroads. The decisions made in the aftermath of the asset bubble's burst will determine the course of Japan's future. Inside corporate boardrooms, executives face mounting pressure. The cozy relationships between corporations and banks, once a boon, now breed a moral hazard. As land and stock prices collapse, companies scramble to stay afloat. Lending becomes a cautious affair, as banks hesitate, fearing the creation of zombie banks, financial institutions that are technically insolvent but kept alive by government support. By 1998, a shift occurs. Japanese firms, once aggressive borrowers, transform into net savers. This change reflects a deeper caution taking root in the business psyche, as firms prioritize stability over expansion. Across the nation, a culture of saving takes hold, both at corporate and personal levels. Yet this prudence comes at a cost. The stagnation of bank credit growth stifles innovation and expansion. Firms struggle to obtain the credit needed to invest in new ventures, leading to a slowdown in labor productivity growth. As the global economy evolves, Japan's place within it begins to waver. By 2010, the unthinkable happens. China overtakes Japan, becoming the world's second-largest economy. The shock reverberates through the nation, prompting a period of introspection and a search for answers. Japan's economic landscape is forever altered, and the looming question remains: how will the nation reclaim its former glory? In 2022, the Japanese economy stands on the edge of a precipice. The yen, once a symbol of the nation's economic might, tumbles nearly 20% against the US dollar. Phones ring off the hook in the offices of financial analysts and government officials. Urgency hangs in the air. The currency's sharp decline sends ripples through an already fragile economy, casting shadows over Japan's future. The following year, the yen slips another 7% against the dollar. The slide feels relentless. In boardrooms and government halls, the mood is tense. Conversations grow more urgent. Each percentage point drop tightens the vise on Japan's economic prospects, and the sense of impending crisis becomes palpable. The nation, already grappling with the legacies of its lost decades, now faces a new wave of challenges. By February 2024, the situation reaches a critical juncture. Japan, once the world's economic powerhouse, finds itself eclipsed by Germany, slipping to the fourth-largest global economy. The numbers tell a stark story. GDP growth in nominal terms stagnates at 1.9%, while real GDP shrinks by 0.1%. Private consumption falls by 0.2%, and a revision of the previous quarter's growth reveals a chilling -0.8%. The weight of these figures presses down on policymakers and business leaders alike. Amidst these challenges, the government unveils a fiscal spending plan of 39 trillion yen, and an economic stimulus package of 108 trillion yen. Yet the question remains whether these measures can stem the tide. The nation stands at a crossroads, its path uncertain. What Japan decides next will determine its fate in a world that seems to move ever faster, leaving it behind. December 2012. In the corridors of power, a new hope emerges. Shinzo Abe, freshly elected as Japan's prime minister, introduces a bold economic strategy, Abenomics. The plan promises to shake the nation from its long economic slumber with aggressive fiscal stimulus, monetary easing, and structural reforms. The world watches, curious and skeptical, but the challenges are formidable. By October 2019, a hike in the consumption tax rate adds another weight to Japan's struggling economy. The move, intended to stabilize public finances, instead dampens consumer spending further. The numbers are unforgiving. Private consumption falls by 0.2%, a stark reminder of the fragility lurking beneath the surface. The coronavirus pandemic sweeps across nations, and by April, Japan confirms over 3,600 cases. The pandemic's grip tightens just as Japan grapples with its own economic turmoil. The postponement of the Olympic and Paralympic Games symbolizes the broader disruptions at play. Despite a fiscal spending plan of 39 trillion yen and an economic stimulus package of 108 trillion yen, the pressure on Japan's economy intensifies. GDP growth in nominal terms clings to a modest 1.9%, while real GDP shrinks by 0.1%. The yen continues its downward slide, casting a long shadow over any attempts at recovery. In 2026, a new reality confronts Japan. India's economy is projected to overtake it, pushing Japan further down the global economic ladder. The implications are profound, and the nation stands on the brink of a new era. What Japan decides next will determine its fate. Japan's lost decades offer a sobering lesson in economic vulnerability. The collapse of the asset price bubble and subsequent deflation created an environment where traditional growth engines seized. High personal savings and the cozy ties between banks and corporations fostered a landscape of zombie banks, stifling innovation and dynamism. As Japan's economy stalled, global competitors surged ahead, leaving Japan grappling with its diminished status. The response, a mix of fiscal spending and structural reforms, shows the complexity of reigniting a stagnated economy. Japan's struggle highlights the dangers of unchecked speculation and the long-term impacts of policy missteps. The world now watches as Japan faces the daunting task of reclaiming its economic standing. What Japan does next will redefine its future. Japan's lost decades reveal the intricate web of causes and consequences that led to prolonged economic stagnation. The collapse of the asset price bubble and deflation crippled growth, trapping Japan in a cycle of high savings and stagnant innovation. Efforts to revive the economy through fiscal spending and reforms underscore the difficulty of reversing entrenched decline. As Japan contemplates its next move, the lessons of the past loom large. The world waits to see if Japan can chart a new course and reclaim its place on the global stage.